All right, guys. Now we're looking at WrestleMania 18. Welcome back to Jayfabe Wrestling. Much appreciated, for all the support. Again, I'm back. Look at my previous video, WrestleMania 17. I'm looking to rebook every WrestleMania. I'm gonna try and get it done by, WrestleMania 39, hopefully. And yeah, I'm very excited to be back again. I've been busy with work, but I've always still wanted to finish this series, and I think I'm going to. So let's get into it. WrestleMania 18, 2002, in my hometown, Toronto, Ontario. And yes, what an amazing crowd in the Sky Dome. 2002 was an interesting time. It was the end of the invasion. We had the NWO come in. We had Triple H return from injury. And, it was kind of Austin's last hoorah. And even The Rock, he left for Hollywood after. And, Ric Flair was back. So it was a wild time in the WWF at the time. Eventually turned to WWE. Obviously, we had the brand split with Raw and SmackDown. So yeah, it was a very interesting time. Um, but I feel like they definitely botched the invasion, and in my rebooking, it's more of the culmination of the invasion rather, than having WCW superstars on the card. It'd be more of WCW again versus WWF. Culminating the invasion. So yeah, before I get into it, let's run down the previous card. Again, I'm going based off memory right now. Um, so I believe there was women's championship was Jazz, Trish, Lita, I believe. And then hardcore championship, you had Maven versus Goldust, and then you had the whole 24/7 rule with Maven eventually winning it back and running in a taxi. We got the European Championship, DDP versus Christian. This was cool because last time DDP was at WrestleMania, he was driving a Cadillac um, with the Honky Tonk Man, so that was pretty cool. Uh, then we got the World Tag Team Championship, Billy and Chuck, Dudley Boys, Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian. Intercontinental Championship, Regal versus RVD. Then we got the fight over shampoo, Booker T versus Edge. um, then we got Kurt Angle versus Kane. Rock versus Austin. Sorry, no, Rock versus Hogan. I'm thinking of WrestleMania. Rock versus Hogan. Austin versus Scott Hall. Undertaker, Ric Flair, no DQ match, and I believe the main event, Triple H versus Chris Jericho for the Undisputed Championship. I believe I have all the matches. Let me know if I missed some, but yeah, that's how like wrestling was awesome back then. You can remember the whole card. Now I don't even remember what happened. What was the last pay per view? It was Elimination Chamber, right? I have no idea who was on the card. I know like the main event, but like the rest of the card I don't know. But like previous cards I can remember the whole card, which is interesting. I guess I was just more interested back then, but that is what it is. So yeah, looking at the card, I thought it was good, but there was a lot of misplacement. Rock and Hogan was cool, but Kurt Angle, he definitely deserves something better. And Austin, he kind of deserves something better. No offense to Scott Hall, but he definitely deserves something better. And yeah, there's some people not on the card that I would have had on the card. Mr. Perfect wasn't on the card. This is a good chance to get him back. So yeah, there's some things I'll change for sure. And again, I like to note that this is all based on my world right now, my rebooked world. So, I'm not booking it as if the invasion ended. I'm gonna book it as like right now, invasion is still going on, and yeah, this is the culmination. So I would have 11 matches. First match would be the immunity battle royal. So everyone who's not on the card gets on the card here. I think it'd be a good way, to get everyone on the card. And who would I have win? I'd debut Brock Lesnar here if we can, and he would just like come in the ring with everyone, and they'll be like, "Who is this guy?" And then he ends up winning. So and then Paul Heyman will come out and be like, that's my guy. I think that'd be cool. Good way to debut Brock Lesnar, Immunity Battle Royal. All right, now we got the. I'll start with the women's championship match. Jazz versus Trish, straight up 1-on-1. Again, Jazz would be representing, WCW. Although she was, you know, in ECW, she would align herself with the WCW. And yeah, Trish will try to, win the title in her hometown. Um, and she does. I know in real life she lost, but here I'd have her win. So yeah, I think that'll be a great moment, cool moment. And so yeah, now the score is 1-1. I'll say Brock is with WCW. It's Paul because he's with Paul Heyman. So he says, we're with WCW. So it'll be 1-1 right now. So like whoever wins the scorecard will win the war. So this is how I have it. So yeah, so it'll be 1-1. Trish beating Jazz in her hometown. So yes. And then we got the which match? We'll go hardcore championship match. So again, in my rebooking, I have Big Show turning into the Giant, and he's in WCW. He's kind of running the hardcore division, and I'd have Goldust. People think he's gonna join WCW as Dustin Rose, but he becomes Goldust again and joins the WWF, and he's playing mind games with Big Show. Obviously, Goldust, great mind games, and he's just infuriating Big Show. Big Show's trying to catch him. Goldust just playing mind games with him and putting the wig on him. It'd be good stuff, and I'd have the Big Show win. Sorry, the Giant win, and the WCW would now have 2-1 in the scorecard. And then we got the World Tag Team Championship match. I'd have Edge and Christian versus Lance Storm and William Regal. So in my rebooking, yeah, Edge and Christian do not break up. They're still a team. Yeah, and then obviously they're in Toronto, Canada, so they'll be, the heavy favorites here. But I have, Christian accidentally hit Edge and, William Regal and Lance Storm get the win. And that's where I'd have Christian turn heel in Toronto. And they can kind of feud throughout the year. Yeah, I just feel like, the Edge and Christian thing didn't work in the Invasion because it was two WWF guys going at it. And Christian just jumped to WCW just because he turned heel. Made no sense to me. So keep them as a team, and this is where I'd have the turn after losing to William Regal and Lance Storm. So yes, now it's 3-1 for WCW. And the next match, we got the Intercontinental US Championship unification. Have RVD coming in as the US champion, Booker T coming in as the IC champion. These two were, the biggest two names that came from the Invasion before the NWO. So, and yeah, I'd have RVD eventually turn over to WWF. Booker always didn't like him and didn't trust him and was jealous of him. RVD could bring that up. And yeah, I think it'd be, good match. RVD gets to win, becoming IC champion. And now the score is 2-3 for WCW. And the next match, we got Kurt Angle versus Mr. Perfect. I think this will be a fun match. And yeah, we got Kurt Hennig versus Kurt Angle. Two great amateur wrestlers. I believe, Mr. Perfect was a great amateur wrestler as well. And it's just a shame he wasn't on the card. I know he was, he was not the same Mr. Perfect, but I feel like Kurt Angle could have definitely got something from this Mr. Perfect, and it'd be, it's a bit better match than Kane in my opinion. Um, and yeah, I think it's kind of a little dream match as well. Two all time heels, funny heels, entertaining heels, great workers, and I'd actually have Mr. Perfect um, when Kurt can try and hold on to the ropes. Mr. Perfect, the ref would find would see it, and Mr. Perfect would then roll up Kurt, and then he would put his foot on the ropes and get the win, and Kurt can complain. I think it'd be a good fun match. Uh, yeah. All right. So now the score is 4-2 because Mr. Perfect's still representing WCW. Then we got uh, the Brothers of Destruction versus the Outsiders. I know Kevin Nash was kind of hurt, but he was fighting the next night and he's beating down Austin. So he could play a limited role here. And then here, obviously, I'd keep Undertaker face because the invasion is still going on. And if there wasn't a streak on the line, I would actually have Undertaker, turn on Kane here and start his heel turn. But the streak was still alive, so you just got to give Undertaker and Kane the win. Although it probably makes sense to give the Outsiders the win, just because there's a streak, though, you got to give Undertaker and Kane the win. Yeah, I think it'll be a good match. Scott Hall and Kevin Nash can say we caused destruction in WCW. Now we're gonna destroy WWE, and Undertaker and Kane come out and say the only people who caused destruction in the WWE are the Brothers of Destruction. So, yeah, I think it'll be a good feud. Obviously, Undertaker fought Kevin Nash previously; they had good chemistry, so I think it'll be a fun match. And yeah, so now we're at I believe 3-4. WCW is still in the lead. Um, but then we got The Rock versus Diamond Dallas Page. Bang! Yeah, this is gonna be a fun match. What can I say is People's Champ versus People's Champ. Obviously, DDP said this in previous podcasts that he would love to face The Rock before Vince made him a stalker, which was very bad, very bad. So yeah, it could be straight up People's Champ versus People's Champ. DDP challenging The Rock. Rock shakes his hand, and then DDP hits him with the diamond cutter, bang, and then they can have great promos on each other. And Rock was saying, while you were WCW champion, I was becoming the biggest star in the WWF, and and that DDP can say, I was the first People's Champion and all that, and yeah, I think they have great promos. I think it'll be a great match. Have The Rock win clean after they can shake hands. It gives DDP a big WrestleMania match. He definitely deserved it. He definitely deserved better. I would have kept him strong throughout the invasion as well. So, yeah. So it's 4-4. We got 3 matches left, and the next match, Street Fight, not Shane, Vince McMahon versus Ric Flair. Pretty much the same match they had at the Rumble. I'd still have Rick, again, looking at my invasion booking, I'd actually have Rick cost Team WWF the match at Survivor Series, and then Vince can, he can. He'll be obviously pissed about that, and he'll challenge Flair to a match at Mania. So, yeah, I think the build up will be good. The promos will be good. Rick can talk about how he doesn't need Vince McMahon. He was a legend before Vince McMahon. He's a legend after, and you know, and Vince can talk about you're the man. You're not the man anymore. I'm the man. Like, when's the last time you people thought of you the man? You're a has been. So it'll be a good match. Ric Flair gets the win. Pretty much have the same match as Royal Rumble, and yeah, WCW's up 5-4 now. So the WWE have to win the next 2 matches. Will they win the next 2 matches? Who knows? Undisputed Championship: Chris Jericho versus Triple H. So again, in my rebooking of the Invasion, Jericho's Um, Jericho turns. Uh, he wins the WWF Championship from Austin, and then he aligns himself with WCW. That's how I'd have it. And Triple H obviously returns from the Rumble, wins, and they play off the history with Jericho. Technically, even though he didn't injure Triple H, it kind of looked like he did with the walls and all that. So, yeah, get rid of this, Lucy the dog crap, and no Stephanie involvement here. It'll just be straight up Triple H getting revenge on Chris Jericho and wanting to bring the undisputed championship back home to the WWF, and he does. And I think it'll be a really good match if they're not the main event because there's less pressure on them. And also if they kind of booked Jericho really badly going into the match, which kind of killed the heat. If you have Jericho, he could actually connive Steph, because they in the real life they had Stephanie kind of controlling Jericho, but it should be Jericho, playing with Steph and saying, Triple H doesn't love you and all that, like, and kind of getting Steph to hate Triple H. So maybe you could have Stephanie in the build, but play it differently with Jericho. Be the one calling the shots and not babysitting Lucy the dog and getting shampoo for Stephanie, which is not good. All right, so that's a tie now. We're at 5-5. And here we go. Main event for all the marbles. Steve Austin, Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Yes, this will be a great match. Biggest dream match that never happened. Will the crowd turn on Austin like they did Rock? That's interesting because Austin was more beloved than Rock, even though Rock was just as popular as Austin. Austin was more beloved. So, but Hogan, he's coming back. Toronto, WrestleMania 6. Him and Warrior, obviously. So, yeah, I think the crowd reaction would be even more insane if it was with Austin. Maybe a little more 50-50, but also, Hogan aligning himself with WCW, maybe that'll, have people cheer for Austin. Just have them have a 25-minute classic. Austin gets the win clean. Hogan misses a leg drop. Austin hits a stunner 1, 2, 3. But you could have that same moment where Hogan he starts to hulk up, and that was one of the biggest pops in WrestleMania when Hogan was hulking up against The Rock. You have that same thing here. You can, and you can have Austin kind of play heel once he realizes, hey, they're cheering Hogan over me. So Austin gets the win, and it'll be the same thing. Hogan will shake his hand. Austin will deny. He'll grab some beers. He gives Hogan a beer. They kind of have a toast. And I should have all the superstars come out and, just like celebrate together and kind of be like, this is the end of the war. Thank you. And then, I think it'll be a great moment, kind of, putting a bed to the Monday Night War era. And, so again, guys, let me know what you think about my card. Let me run down through it. Immunity Battle Royal. And have Brock Lesnar win. Then we got the Women's Championship. Jazz defending against Trish Stratus. We got the Hardcore Championship. Giant defending against Goldust. World Tag Team Championship. Lance Storm and Regal defending against Edge and Christian. The Intercontinental and US Championship Unification. RVD versus Booker T. Then we got Kurt Angle versus Mr. Perfect. Brothers of Destruction versus the Outsiders. The Rock versus Diamond Dallas Page. Street Fight, Vince McMahon versus Ric Flair. Undisputed Championship, Chris Jericho versus Triple H. And the biggest dream match of all time, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Hollywood Hulk Hogan. So guys, that is my card. Let me know what you think. Appreciate all the love and support. And I'll be back with WrestleMania 19.